Wow, look at this dirty frame. Oh, it's got stuff hanging on it. Oh my goodness, this thing needs some TLC and polished. Well, this is a test frame. Why is it a test frame? Well, when I went to go refurbish a bike, after I purchased it and cleaned it up, I found this crack. So it's basically a wall ornament. Well, besides being a wall ornament, we are going to take a gander of how polishes work on a bike frame. And we're going to do a smackdown between Adams graphene ceramic versus lithium ceramic with their particular surface preps prior to that. And we'll do a general cleaning with Purple Power just to make everything fair. We'll tape it all off and use applicators. Well, let's get into this smackdown after this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy, and this is this old crummy bike frame series. Just kidding. Great frame, great brand. You know, it had its life, but it cracked. So I threw it in the backyard, waiting to figure out what I'm going to do with this. But actually, waiting in the backyard over summer between all the elements, you got some summer and winter and all sorts of gunk going on this. So it's been exposed to all that. And what I'm going to do is do a general, just a wipe down cleaning of the frame, tape off, mask off two sections. One I'm going to use the Adams product, and the other one I'm going to use the lithium product. And then we're going to just do kind of a water test afterwards to see how it holds up. There's a plenty of car detailing products, what these are, that videos you'll see, and they have flat surfaces, but in the bike industry we don't have flat surfaces. So I'm going to use the bike frame instead of my wife's car hood because it's black. But I'm going to use a red frame. This has some ashing of the sun. It's kind of whitish film to it, plus the dirt grime. Yeah, you're like, oh, it's a shame to put on. What am I going to do with this frame? Well, this is what I'm going to do with the frame. So here we are, and without further ado, and I've been using both products, and just a full disclosure, I paid for the Adams polishes and the actual ceramic coating. Lithium, actually, I caught their eye, and they basically said, hey, let's send you this. I didn't pay for the lithium ceramic coating and their surface cleaner, but I paid for the Adams, so it is technically a paid promotion, even though I'm not paying to do this video. I'm just going to do a comparison and see how both of them look after being submerged with some water, maybe some grit. Let's see what we come up with. Maybe I'll let my 8-year-old terrorize it. You know, who knows. But first off, we want to, regardless of any vehicle or bike, this is my first system of cleaning, and by cleaning is just getting all this gunk off. Typically I wouldn't spray directly on the frame unless it's completely parts mostly taken off, as you see. Reason being, you see that film of fine mist? This is a degreaser. So anytime you're using any kind of spray agent around your bike, those little micro bubbles are going to get into the components and the parts that you don't want them to go. So yeah, you don't want like spray lubes or waxes or any of that kind of thing going to the areas where you can contaminate. Hydraulic brakes, brake pads, chains, hubs, all those things. So you definitely don't want to directly spray anything into the frame itself. So you can see in the car industry, it's a huge battle between all these different brands and so forth. And granted, you're probably going to get a lot of crossover of good quality stuff, either or. And you know, the idea really behind all of it is something is sometimes better than nothing. And that is true. Same thing when you're looking at bike lubes on chains, making sure you clean your brake pads, those kinds of things. And yes, exactly. Um, but when you're looking at products and how long they're supposed to last, well, the lithium, if you layer it, 6 to 9 to 12 months of protection. For the graphene ceramic from atoms, maybe a little bit longer, depending, but there's a cost to all of that, right? Those costs do become a variable, and what I found, which is very interesting, is the products that the car manufacturers provide is something that is supposed to go over your car several times, and it's supposed to last like a bottle 6 to 8 times full car coverages. Well, if you're looking at this and doing it to your bike, a bottle of this is going to last you a long time. And let's see, I've used about a third of this, and there's still 2/3 left. I have covered well over 8 to 10 bike frames, multiple coatings with the lithium, and you probably can do the same. This one's a 16 ounce. I believe that one's a 12 ounce for the atoms. So needless to say, at the end of the day, you can buy a bottle of it. Yeah, it's kind of expensive up front because it's only the bigger bottles you can get. They don't make smaller ones from a lot of those products, but it's going to last you a long time. In addition to, you can do it to your car. But therefore, you can actually get the frame to have that protection. Why are we talking about protection on frames? Well, yeah, the aluminum and all that, but you start getting into these more expensive high-end bikes and you're getting these fancier paint jobs. Well, don't you want those paint jobs to last a little bit longer? You're still getting exposed to the UV rays. Granted, it's not sitting out, well, maybe it is sitting outside, but most of the time it isn't sitting outside. But when you're out there in the elements, you get caught in rain, you got backsplash with mud, with dirt and grime. If you have a good coating or protection on it, it's going to help shed that stuff when you just rinse it off with just regular tap water. And that also prevents water droplets beating up and developing hard water spots, that kind of thing. So in any case, the protection of it, well, protecting the paint will last a bit longer. Well, this particular paint is not aluminum frame. You don't have to worry about aluminum frames, right? They're not corrosive. Well, not necessarily. They do oxidize. So if they're not covered or treated, they're going to oxidize as an exposed metal. Steel frames, I don't even have to go into that. Rust buckets, aluminum, Michigan. Yeah, the steel will just be eaten alive. So this actually protects that paint and protects it from grinding down. And I've seen paint jobs, and I'll have some in the next few videos showing where the paint has been compromised and it just flakes right off because it's just that water or what have you has got underneath there. So I'm going to pre-treat these two sections with the Atoms surface prep. This is the product they have here, and what this is supposed to do, take the little trigger lock out, is clean the surface so it allows the best penetration of the actual coating. So we're just going to, and I'm going to apply all these onto actually an applicator or a towel so we're not getting spray cross contamination. So it's even on both sides. So I'll do that. And then there's a breeze that's going this way, so it's going away from the frame. So just want to let you know if you're not seeing that. So I thought this would be kind of fun because I saw like a half a dozen videos of, let's check out this stuff, let's check out that stuff. I'm like, well, what the heck? Let's check it out on a bike frame and see what happens. All right, so getting a little bit, nothing really too major. So that purple power, it's mixed with half and half with water. That seems to clean surfaces really well, that I've noticed, for just my general cleaning of frames. And now we're going to use the Surface Prep Hydro Clean All Surface Cleaner from Lithium. This is this guy here, bigger bottle. I believe this is 16 ounces as well. Yeah, 16 fluid ounces. And I've been using this on some other frames too for a good cleaning agent, and this actually works really well on a lot of things, and it lifts up a lot of that extra gunk. that aside. All right. So with the Adams Graphene ceramic spray coating advanced, a lot of these they do say do 1 or 2 coats at a time, let it dry. This one allows the 4 hours to cure. The lithium, let it an hour to cure. That kind of thing. You could do what they call stacking, which you do a couple layers at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 passes over it. So it's not going to be the traditional stacking of letting it wait dry and stack. I just go over it twice because I've read somewhere that if you do it a couple times, it'll get all those areas really well. And this is the applicator here. Okay, here's the graphene, and I'm going to put it on the pad. And we'll let it cure overnight, and then we'll throw some contaminants at it tomorrow. And this is the ceramic slam, which I features this in several videos, and it really brought the paint out as well as the graphene. But it'll be interesting to see what it does side by side with a test area in between of nothing except for being clean. So I'll apply it to the pad as well. Still have some gunk from the backyard in there. Alright, so you can kind of see a nice little sheen to it. Both of those are going to have to dry. 2 things I've noticed right off the bat on both of these is the graphene from Adams Polishes ceramic spray coating. This is the advanced, not from the not so advanced. Anyway, funny names. This is supposed to give like a little more of a acetone kind of look to it. I did not see that on the frames because there's so much of a curve. It's really hard to see. For that kind of look. I did notice with the lithium though, it has kind of like a dullness to it when it dries, and that's when you kind of tell when it's been dried. And with the lithium is when that acetone look appears supposedly within 5 minutes or so. You can take your fiber cloth and wipe it, and you'll feel like a tack to it, a tack, and then it'll break free and become super smooth. Both brands I've used on several different frames in my detailing, and with both of them, those have really, I mean, it's like a high gloss, and you can see the protection. And if you're looking at 2 to 3 layers of that, you're going to get a really kind of a good layer of protection against all that grit and grime. Well, here's the real question, right? Why? I mean, is it going to hold up to rain splatters? It does on car hoods. Well, and you're talking about cars going really fast, and yeah, they get back spray and all that from other vehicles, so that's pretty rugged contaminants. Road bikes, maybe not as much, but you still have kickback from puddles of water and rain and that kind of thing. And also when you get into mountain biking, where back in the days in the 90s when I did a lot of mountain biking, mud everywhere. I mean, I would love to be able to just take my hose and everything just shedded right off. So we'll test some mud on this too and see if a little bit of mud clumps will just kind of like bleep, drive right off. And we'll do a couple different series. We can do the wet mud that just got splattered on there and you're done with your ride and you wash it off, or you do dry mud and see if it comes off at all with water drops and so forth. That's going to be the true environment test of what the cycling experience is going to be. Like yellow on the Adams side, That looks pretty shiny. And I feel that give, and then it gets really smooth. Now they both have a really good sheen to them, and they're very glossy. So, but we'll, to the visual old guy eyes, very, very similar. Maybe this one has a little bit more. The ceramic slam from Lithium has a little more glossiness to it. But again, we're not going to know until we throw some contaminants on it. But okay, so this is the Lithium ceramic slam side. Trying to get a, you can see the shininess, and gets kind of dull in the middle. See those, that white ash, and then you got the graphene on that side there. So looking at the bottom, got more decaling logoing here, shiny. Then in the middle, it's a little more dull, and then you have that shine up front. All right, so the visual tests, I would say they're very, very close to being comparable. But, you know, I like things pretty, but that's all fine and dandy. But we're really here to test the protection level. So let's let this sit overnight, let it cure, and I will abuse this frame tomorrow. After that. Okay, now we have a day, actually 2 days later, with the Adams ceramic graphene polish and also the lithium polish as well. As dried, couple coats on both equal, and we got the ceramic slam here on the front. We also have the graphene Adams polish in the back, and we're going to do some testing. Well, what kind of testing? You've seen these testings on different car detailers. They do chemicals and so forth. I'm just going to do water and see what it beads on the frame, in addition to, that's right, I got some mud. We're going to see what mud relax, how it does when it's wet, and we can rinse it off, and how it sheds. And we'll just do a couple different samples of what it does and wipe it off in between, and then have the final result to see what the shine is for both, and if it's still resilient and protects after this quick testing. So first we're going to check out the beading. All right, first we're going to do the water test. So see how it just kind of beads up and just drips right off. So this is mimicking, you know, riding in misty weather, yeah, maybe Seattle-like. All right, so we got some beading off of the lithium product, pretty good. Good water droplets. All right, let's check out how the Adams holds up for the graphene coat. Got it down here too. Yeah, it sheds. Got some droplets on there. So here's a thing that, you know, you can't do on cars, but you can on bikes, is we're going for a ride. Let's see how this just kind of falls off the frame. And so you got good form beads on both. All right, let's test the middle section. And without any protection, all that does is not bead. So you got a nice wet coating. And this is obviously all beaded up, and there as well underneath, and you can kind of see it just dripping like so. All right, onto the mud. I'm not gonna lie, I've been looking to do this. So we got our traditional clay-based mud, and it's pretty traditional for Colorado. So we're just gonna do road flinging. So you're looking at the atoms. It's beating up. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to do the ceramic slam. Oh, it beads up just fine. And we're going to do the center test area untreated. Oh, you see how it just milky coats? So you got nice beading here and nice beading up front. You can do some writing. You can kind of see the, yeah, so the beading is definitely there for the mud. Definitely icky coating there. So let's take a look at what happens when you want to rinse that off. So we're going to mimic just a light spray as you would with a hose. Oh, that comes right off nice and clean. So 10 or 15 squirts and it just kind of just falls right off. All that does is just get more into the frame. And then you have the lithium up front, which just with the light spritz sheds all that mud. All right, let's clean this off and do another test. All right, so cleaning this off, I spritzed more water. It just pretty much shedded right off both the atoms coating as well as the lithium ceramic slam. And in the middle here, it's just where it's not coated, it just sticks to the frame. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to coat it, let it dry, and see how easy it comes off by either flicking it and also by dilution of water, low pressure. Because with bikes versus cars, you take your car to the car wash and it blows all that stuff right off, right? Well, bikes, they don't want any high pressure water anywhere in certain parts of the bike where it's going to draw or blow the seals and grease and contamination. So what is highly recommended over the decades is when you wash your bike, low pressure from the seat collar down and the head tube down, so you're not draining water into the frame and into the headset. That idea is so you're not going to contaminate all this. This in mind, if you're just spritzing with a low pressure, it's going to shed all that gunk off easier. Therefore, your frame will stay protected and less gunk will, like it shows here, still on the frame, like so. So let's do our mud fling. And yeah, I'm going to mess my driveway, by the way, but it don't matter. It's going to snow and I'm going to shovel it off. So, all right. So. So as this is drying, you can see how the mud droplets are really struggling to hang on, and they are definitely beaded up. But if you look in the non-treated area, super coated, thin layer of mud and dirt, and you look at the graphene from atoms, you definitely still see that polish underneath the beading. This is the bottom test area. And you're seeing the same with the lithium. I mean, you got super shine still, and you got that beading. So we'll see how easily that mud comes off when it's dry and cleans up. And with mud is dirt and it acts like sandpaper if it doesn't fall off. So my guess would be the center non-treated area would have more potential scratching and scarring of the paint surface than you would with the treated atoms, graphene ceramic and the lithium ceramic slam. So we got some dry mud on a frame. So yeah, a couple hours later, and you can kind of see the little clumpages of the dirt built up in the droplets of the both of the ceramic side, and then when you look in the middle where the untouched area, it just kind of smoothed out and kind of covered the whole thing like typical dirt and water would do. But with a ceramic slam, you got beading, and you actually, when moving this back and forth in the garage and out, well, I had it let it dry and it closed up the garage. So some of the drops just kind of just shedded right off. Same thing with the Adams graphene, what was it? The graphene ceramic spray. Same thing. Both have that. So we're going to do a little close up here. What I'm going to do is just basically a finger flick and see what it does when I actually manipulate the dirt droplets on top, and on the bottom we're going to spray with water and see if it dissolves and just kind of sheds off by its own without any contact. So both those would be the typical situation when you're out riding, you get dirty or your bike gets dirty, you get back on it, you rub your leg up against something. Does it knock it off, or does it scratch and scuff up the surface, which the non-tested area would definitely do. And then when you take it home and rinse it off with light pressured water, does it just kind of shed, or does it stick and is a booger just as in the center as well? So let's do a close-up view of this, and then we'll wipe it down and see with a halogen bulb brightness and see if there's any kind of scarring or scratching or any of that nature. Make sure that both coatings are protecting as well as polish and so forth. Let's check it out. Okay, this is the ceramic slam side, and this is where I did 2-3 coatings and equal to both, so there's no funny business going on between brands. Not that I really care, I just wanted to see what it does. And looking at those droplets, just say if you're rubbing up against it and seeing what happens, and it's kind of like powdery, and it does kind of flake off on different ones there. Just in case, you're sitting on this bike frame and you're sit down on it, what would it do? So we're going to do this whole top section of just trying to flick it. And then we have our test section where there's no ceramic coatings or anything, just been a clean surface. And what we're seeing here is it doesn't hardly do anything but just smear that dust. Then clean my finger off again. And then we'll look at the graphene ceramic coating and see what that does. And we are looking at pretty much both ceramic coatings are behaving pretty much the same way as kind of expected. Some of it's kind of a little tougher on the bottom, like so. Okay, so now we kind of messed up the top. Now we're going to use water and rinse off the bottom portion and give it maybe a 20 squirts and see what happens. And this is a mist, so wow, that just came right off, about 20 squirts. Okay, in the middle, it had a little contamination from the spray before, but it sprays off too. Guess our mud here is not as horrible as I thought. And now for the Adams graphene. That's similar, but hey, that actually does come off fairly easy under low pressure. Clean my stand while we're at it. So thinking about it, and you're still getting a high performance of water droplets. Let's just go ahead and spray the top here where I rubbed. Got some stubborn droplets underneath. And then to the atoms portion, same kind of. All right, so we got droplets, and it's sheening pretty well. Test area, just one straight wet mess. Then we got the atom side where got a whole bunch of droplets as well. All right, so I'm going to continue to rinse this off, and then we're going to dry it off with a fiber cloth and see how shiny the coat is and see if there's any damage, if any at all, on both sections, including the test. Bicycle have halogens, so we got our halogens, and looking at the top here and see if there's any kind of scarring. Nothing, I don't think there was not from before. And down at the bottom, I don't see any like droplet residues by any means. And you look at the test area, which is a little duller. Then you have the atom section. So I'll take a better look over here. Test area. So still pretty shiny. Seems like it has a pretty good protected coat still remaining on it, on both the ceramic. I mean, it's really hard to tell with this lighting. Apologize for not being a sunny day, but I had to work with what I got. Other than that, though, pretty impressed. Let's review. Here we have it with the lithium ceramic slam versus the smackdown of the atoms graphene ceramic coating. My opinion and what I've seen on both of them, they bead about the same. They shed the water about the same. The dirt droplets shake off about the same. It looks like the protection, I did the same layers on both, so it's actually pretty good. I mean, so here's the takeaway on the non-sheen, like it wouldn't sheen or drip in the test area. So that obviously it shows between those particular two that work really well. In addition to the protection that we have from the dirt and grime that gets on the frame that sheds right off. Well, here's the tricky bit. So you're looking at somewhere around $29.99, and you're looking at about $40 or $43 for this here for the atoms. So it's 25% more for the graphene mixture, which probably lasts a little bit longer. Not going to test that, but actually initial results from the beginning, they equal the same. But when you're looking at this particular cost, you're looking at 25% more. And in addition to, this is 12 ounces versus 16 ounces. So more bang for your buck on this right here. So hey, that concludes this Smackdown. Until next time, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. If it's beautiful in your neighborhood, go out for a ride. Until the next test, I'll show more of these, hopefully on a sunnier day. But anywho, hope you got something out of it. Until next time, have a great day.